Welcome back to Askewed Reviews, and we're continuing the Fast and Furious franchise, mainly due to the fact that around this time of year it's all about family. So, this film is the 2013 movie Fast and Furious 6. Here is your trivia question for today. At the end of the film, Hobbs offers Dom anything he wants for saving the day. What does Dom ask for? The answer will be at the end of this episode. So, this film starts off about 2 years after the events of Fast 5. At this point, all the remaining members of the crew are living a happy and wealthy life. For instance, Dom and Elena are living together. Brian, Mia, and their son Jack are very happy together. Giselle and Han are also together. And even Tej and Roman are living the life of luxury. While Luke Hobbs, on the other hand, is doing what he does best, chasing down criminals, and he has a new partner this time named Riley Hicks. Currently, Hobbs is dealing with a former British SAS major named Owen Shaw and his band of mercenaries. They are working together to build a device called Nightshade, which can apparently take down all power, and they plan on selling it to the highest bidder. Hobbs reaches out to his old friend Dominic Toretto to help him take down this group of mercenaries, and gives Toretto some information that convinces him, notifying him that Letty is still alive, but somehow she doesn't remember anything. So Dom is able to bring the band back together, mainly because they're willing to do anything to bring their friend back. So will Dom and his crew be able to defeat Owen and his mercenaries? And will Letty ever remember Dom and her old friends? Justin Lin is once again back in the director's seat for the fourth time in a row on a Fast and Furious film. And just like in the last movie, he managed to slip in a cameo for his son again. This time, he's the child that watches Dom and Letty race through London. So originally, the plan for this story was going to be told over two movies instead of just one, but they managed to put it into one full story. Also, the original working title was just Furious 6, but the marketing that started to come out kept saying Fast and Furious, so they decided to change it for the next one to just be called Furious. This movie was filmed in London, England, Glasgow, Scotland, and the Canary Islands. Also, the sections where it takes place in Russia were actually also just filmed in London. Luke Evans was brought into the film series as the character Owen Shaw, but other actors that were up for that role were Jason Statham and David Tennant. And as we know, Jason Statham would at least be brought back as the character of Deckard Shaw, Owen's brother, in the next film. Clara Paget was brought in for the character of Veg, but that role almost went to Sarah Harding. The host of the London race is played by Rita Ora, but apparently that role also could have gone to Rihanna. Gina Carano, who is also new to the series, was brought in as the character Riley Hicks. Shea Wingham reprises his role as Stasiak from Fast and Furious, the fourth film. Also reprising the role from the fourth film is John Ortiz as Braga. Here's something that might blow your mind a little bit. There's a scene with Brian and Letty where Brian apologizes for getting her involved with Braga, and Letty responds with, I may not remember anything, but I do know one thing. Nobody makes me do anything I don't want. This is actually the first conversation the characters of Brian and Letty have actually had that are directly with one another in the series. Also, when speaking about conversations, there's a scene at the barbecue where Roman says, better hide the baby oil when Hobbs shows up, and Hobbs says back, you better hide that big ass forehead. This was actually completely improvised, and you can tell because that spit take that Ludacris has is actually him reacting to it. Also, something you may or may not have noticed at the barbecue, there's a bottle of Conjure Cognac, which is actually co owned by Ludacris in real life. Throughout the film, Hobbs is actually mocked with Avengers insults, as he's called the Hulk, Captain America, and Tej even has him on his phone as Samoan Thor. When Brian is being fake imprisoned, the name that appears on his mugshot is T. Bridges, which is actually a combination of two of his co stars, Tyrese and Chris Ludacris Bridges. Throughout filming, over 100 cars were crashed, wrecked, or destroyed. The racer that actually had the ramp that could flip cars was actually built for this film, and it could actually cause that to happen for all the stunts. The tank chase scene was supposed to originally be CGI, but Lynn actually wanted it to be practical. So they actually did all of those sequences, and there was just some small post production enhancements. As for the family counter for this film, the word family is said 11 times. Mia says it once, Hobbs says it twice, Brian says it once, Dom says it twice, Owen says it twice, Elena says it twice, and Roman says it once. So when it comes to the film Fast and Furious 6, I enjoyed this one, but I did feel like they backpedaled just a little bit in the sense that Luke Evans was great as a villain, but his trajectory, or at least the reasons he did certain things, didn't completely make sense to me, so much so that they even had to explain it more in the next film. So I think I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 5. Now, as for the trivia question from the beginning of this episode, at the end of the film, Hobbs offers Dom anything he wants for saving the day. What does Dom ask for? Dom simply answers with 1327, to which we either already know or soon find out he's referring to the original address of where he and his family were living. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews, and if there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments.